goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. I realized that I haven't told people to like, subscribe, and share in a while, but the fan base continues to grow every week. So pretty happy about that. Shout out to everybody that likes, subscribes, shares, comments across all the different platforms, from Spotify to YouTube to Apple, and as well on Twitter. So thanks to everybody that makes sure that their voice is either heard through DMs or comments or whatever else. As always, great to be joined by these fine gentlemen: Austin, Robbie, Kevin. I am Holmes. This is episode 48. 40. Are we at 48 or 49? I think it's 48.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This
we
is
just did AK-47 last time.
Yeah. This is episode 48. This is the Torrey Hunter episode. And I go Torrey Hunter because he was an amazing all-star outfielder that I used to love to watch. So in this past weekend, there was a lot of things that we absolutely loved watching. So that's why I'm going with Torrey Hunter this week. And there's a good amount of things to get to. We're going to give some praise and some props to a ton of people, obviously, before we do any of the talking, because we weigh in first, and that's what we do. For me, I'm going to give a shout out to my man, Cliff Fretwell. And it's why I'm wearing this sweatshirt, CMPWC family. But if you don't know, Cliff Fretwell is also hilarious. And if you follow any of his social media handles, you'll see over the last couple of days that he has taken Doug Schwab and one Brian Snyder and put AI to them dancing for Doug Schwab. And he had Brian Snyder doing the AJ Ferrari splits. So head to his Instagram. You can do that while this is playing. And the great part about being friends with Cliff Fretwell is that you see these things before he posts them. So he sends them to us in our group and says, I really am figuring out this AI thing. So as dangerous as AI is, it's more dangerous in the hands of Cliff Fretwell, but he's using it all for good, because he's creating these obviously these online stores with Compound Sportswear for all these different teams, from UNI to Nebraska. I know he also did some stuff for Oklahoma State. So make sure you guys are checking that out. This is a plug for a brother of mine, but to the fact that he's absolutely fucking hilarious, and he continues to figure out AI and do some really funny and awesome things with it. So shout out to the one and only Cliff Fretwell for that. Austin, on to you.
Yeah, a few quick shout outs. First of all, congrats to Columbia, Ivy League champs for the first time in 44 years, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's older than all of us here. I'm not aging.
No, you're correct.
You're good. I want to.
Yep.
Yeah. I want to step on anybody's feet here.
Under 41 years old.
That's good. I just had a birthday.
Not yet 40.
So I'm big 3-5. I'm almost there. So, so shout out to those guys. That staff doing a heck of a job there. So crazy to win the Ivy League. I think it's their 5th time doing it in program history. So really cool stuff on the horizon for Columbia. EIWA had 2 divisional champs. This is the second year that EIWA has split up into 2 divisions. The Independence division was won by Drexel again this year. They repeated as champs. So congrats to them on winning that this weekend. And the other division, formerly known as the Patriot division, is now the Liberty division. Last year, Navy and Lehigh tied for that. This year, Lehigh won it outright. And coincidentally, last year at EIWA conferences, they were 1 and 2, Lehigh being 1, Drexel being 2. So we'll see if that happens again this year. But shout out to those teams on just some dual meet accolades, I should say, this weekend.
Nice. Robbie?
Who's the coach at Columbia?
Pritzloff.
No, it's an inside joke that I wanted to throw out there for so other people will understand that. Pritzloff's done a hell of a job, and taking that over and getting to them to where they're at today. They were undefeated in Ivy, correct?
Yes.
And that's damn impressive. especially at a school that's as difficult to get into as Columbia. I mean, even as Ivy League schools go, Columbia is a very difficult school. So
Yeah, like we said in the
congrats,
past, they've been gray shirting some guys this year, so I don't think they even have their best lineup out there yet. So, like I said, good things coming.
yeah, that's great. Congrats to them. I wanted to give a shout out. A guy named Jack Craig. I met him on Twitter. Actually got to meet him this weekend. He's from Pittsburgh, and he's what caught my eye when I first saw him on Twitter is that he's on a quest to catch a match at every D1 wrestling school. And he is up to, I think it said 29 schools, 27 schools now. So he came down to Virginia Tech this weekend for the Oklahoma State duel, and just kind of a cool thing that he's doing, and a really nice guy. And just wanted to shout him out and say, thanks for following us, and it's good to meet you.
Awesome. You see people that like try and do that with like the NFL, right? Where it's like, I want to go see a game in every stadium or things like that. So it's cool to see that come into the wrestling community, and
takes a lot of logistics.
There's a lot more that goes into seeing a duel at every wrestling venue.
Ticket prices are lower though
than it does NFL.
Valid.
Probably, for sure. A little bit easier, but a lot more to attend. That is for damn sure. Claunch, on you.
All right. So I wanted to give a shout out, and granted, this is not an extensive list that I put together. I did not do a whole lot of research into this, but I wanted to shout out people or teams that have beaten Cael Sanderson or Cael Sanderson-led teams. And I thought this would be fun to do because it's not a very long list. And after this past weekend with the ass whooping that they just put on Ohio State, I thought it was important for us to all remind ourselves just how difficult it is to beat that man at anything. All right. I imagine he's got a single digit loss record in Uno. All right. Lifetime. So, Iowa, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, and Minnesota have beaten in a dual meet Penn State since he's taken over the program in 2009. Overall, it's like 16 losses or something like that total, but like that's pretty damn good. All right. There's a couple teams he's beaten them. Michigan beat him in the Big Ten championships. No big deal. Just figured I'd throw that team in there for no reason whatsoever.
Because they need a little pep talk right now, probably.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's think about the positive things. All right. That's how we move forward.
Days.
Yeah. Paul Glynn wrestling for Iowa defeated Cael Sanderson during Sanderson's redshirt year at an open tournament, often cited as the UNI Open. I think Les Gutchis beat him once in like some domestic competition to get to like world championships. Outside of that, like that's where my research ended. I was like, I'm good. That seems like enough. That's the list. So
I'm gonna find a random kid in Heber City, Utah, who beat him as a youth.
I'm not going back that far. I'm not going to the FILA Junior World shit. Like, I'm out on that. I just thought I would throw that out there. Like, it's a small list. It is a very small and select list, and everyone that's on that list should feel really good about themselves. It's exclusive. It's about as exclusive as lists get. So
yeah, I think it would probably never happen. It would be. And I do not think that Flo would ever be able to do this. If it does happen, big ol' heaping a crow. I do not think that Flo would be able to get a Cael Sanderson documentary, in which it's him and his brothers talking about just growing up and how he probably never used to win, right? Like, wouldn't that be like the turn of events where like growing up, he just never beat anybody in the family for and their mom or something was like the best athlete. Like, wouldn't that be like the best thing? And then he turns into who he turns into. I feel like that would be amazing to kind of see in a documentary, but I don't think that Flo would ever be able to get it. I think it would be like an ESPN thing, right?
I don't think anyone would be able to get it because I feel like at this point, I'm so convinced he just wins every time that I think his total win-loss record against family is like single digits. Like the dude
what do you think lose. Game night is like for the Sanderson family?
Cael Sanderson wins.
He's like Julian
That's
from
what
Big
I
Daddy.
think it's like.
I
Yeah.
win.
I win. What's the game called? I win.
He's the winner again. We don't have game nights anymore in the Sanderson house. Just watch movies. Watch a lot of movies. Yeah. So anyway, I wanted to shout them out because that was an ass kicking, and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Why did I think it was going to be close? It's Cale Sanderson.
He's over there going full Matumbo and his kids shooting on the little Tykes hoop.
I think
As he
honestly,
should.
yeah, right. I think that's kind of a perfect segue. Like, let's jump right into Penn State, Ohio State, and it was an ass kicking. Like it was bad, and I think let's stop with the Brandon Cannon is ducking people.
No,
He's
that's
been
not
out for
happening.
he's been out for weeks, guys.
Yeah.
Like anyone that was saying that is just absolutely ridiculous. Because if that's the case, then Angelo Ferrari also just ducking people. Like, just stop. Like, we don't think that any of that is actually true and actually happening.
Well, we know that Angelo's in the room right now, though.
We did see
He's
that
down in the room working out.
We did see that. The trauma of that statement
Makes me feel like he does have a broken ankle.
it makes me feel like there is something wrong with his ankle. Yes. Because the last time we heard that, there was a broken ankle involved. But no, I mean, pretty wild to see for us to talk about some of these toss-up matches and then for it to go 36-5 is insane. Like, did not see it coming. Obviously, Jesse Mendez is a freak, and I feel like anybody that they put out there, it would have been rough sledding for anyone.
Yeah.
But as the ball just kind of got rolling, right? Like, duel starts out, and you knew it was going to be close at 25. You knew it was. You knew that it was going to be something at 33. But you probably expected it to be split 1-1. You know, obviously it is possible to go the way that it is, like the way that these matches are. But like, we all looked at it and we were like, yeah, this could easily be split 1-1. So when they come out and they win both of these in overtime and tiebreaker, you're like, this is not going to be Ohio State's night. Like, you know, Jesse Mendez is going to do horrible things to Braden Davis. But the rest of it, you're just like, man, this is a snowball rolling down a hill, and it absolutely was. But like, you thought that the tide was going to turn a little bit at 84. Fishback had him where he wanted him, and then that escape, and then it was just like the walls closed in. Robbie, your thoughts on Penn State, Ohio State, and how everything went?
It was a paddling. I mean, the score.
I love how that has become your catchphrase of the season.
Claunch and I think share it equally. I think the score wasn't as indicative of it, how close some of the matches really were, and it looked like a complete ass whooping on paper. But some of the match, I mean, how many of them went to overtime or were last second takedowns that ended it?
3 went to overtime, and then 84 was the last second takedown. The rest were bonus.
Yeah, with Messenbrink and Mendez, who you expect that from in every match, and Barr, we've come to expect that in every match as well.
I think he's got a 100% bonus rate right now too.
Yeah, he does. He does. So that's why he's one of the 4 on that list of Penn State candidates. No, I mean, I think when we talked about it last week, we kind of all recognized that the only way that Oklahoma State could really make a run was if they were able to get the momentum at the lower weights. If they got those first
Ohio
2,
State, you mean?
Yeah. I don't even know what I said.
Oklahoma State. We'll get there.
Yeah, there's an O. They're all the same, similar shapes, not really. But no, they needed Buzakas or Davino to get moving and get some momentum going, because if you don't have any momentum going in against Penn State, there's nothing's going to happen. Nothing good is going to happen for you.
No.
But if they would have been able to get those first 2, and then you're going to have Mendez, that would have given them a much better leg to stand on and more momentum and possibility going into the upper weights where they weren't as favored. But that didn't happen. So that did not work in their favor at all.
Yeah. Claunch, your thoughts?
Couple things. Luke Lillidahl learned how to take Bazakis down at the end of that match, and it didn't count, but he seemed so confident getting in on that shot in overtime and being able to finish it. Like, it took him a long time to, like, whatever strength Bazakis has at 125, it shut down the pace that Lillidahl usually has. But once he realized, like, I can get this guy's leg and I can actually finish this shot, then it was over. I don't expect to see that match be that close moving forward. 133, same sort of thing, but it was like the pace of Ben Davino is why I picked Ben Davino in that match. He's been just relentless and aggressive and not afraid to shoot on anybody, and Blaze just completely shut him down. And he held the center of the mat the entire time. So he was just confident and comfortable, wasn't worried about stall calls, wasn't worried about anything else. He was still, taking his attacks, but it was just really impressive how he was able to completely control how that match went. And Davino had no input, just, this is the match I'm wrestling, I guess. And I guess we're going to go into overtime. And then the fact that he was like, oh, reversal. Like, oh, and remember how Ben Davino, you got out like in 3 seconds every time before that? It's not, you're just not going to get out anymore. This is when I shut the match down. So it was just really impressive to watch. And it's one of those things where you're like, well, was he broken because he was that tired there? And I use the term broken loosely, right? Like, bear with me. But he definitely didn't get out, not anywhere near close. The match wasn't over until it was, right? So really impressive by Blaze there. I'm just trying to think about, like, I used to make the joke. I don't remember who it was about in particular, but it was just like, if you go to prison and you're in or maybe a little bit less, significant, but like if you're in trouble, you should have to hand fight Rocco Welsh for 10 minutes. And that should be your sentence. It's like, hey, you can't keep, getting parking tickets. You got to hand fight this guy. Dude, like, Fishback just completely fell apart like a Jenga stand. Like, that was it. He was there, he was in the match, and then all of a sudden it was just like you just getting clubbed again and again and again and again. I don't remember who it was, so I apologize for not shouting them out, but there was the shot counter. Holmes, did you share that?
I didn't know. Which
one of you guys, or maybe I saw it somewhere else, but there was like a shot counter for like the last 90 seconds of that match, and it was like 8, shots. Like,
yeah, they were half-hearted a little bit, but yeah, there were.
I've taken 8 shots in 90 seconds before, so not big deal.
Right, there we go.
It's called college, Claunch.
Exactly. But like, that's the thing. Like, the dude was getting after it and really putting on the pressure, and you think like you're already tired after getting beat up by this dude, and then all of a sudden he's like pretending to shoot on you, and you got to react to that. Like, no, I'm good. So, and yeah, my only other thought: heavyweight Feldman, when he runs into athletes at that weight class, guys who can match his athleticism, he hits a wall, and it sucks.
You've said that before, and
yeah,
you very much saw in that match because it wasn't a size issue; it was very much an athleticism issue.
And I thought that was going to be the case. I thought it was going to be a size thing where at least Feldman's like big enough to be able to like just overpower this guy, but no, not at all.
And that tells you a lot about the athleticism of AJ Ferrari, because he's lost to Feldman multiple times now this season. The first time he said he was a bit concussed, they hit heads, whatever else. Second time, not so much. It doesn't compute. So yeah, it says a lot about his athleticism if he's having problems with Feldman, and Feldman has trouble with guys who are more athletic than he is.
Well, let's position it a little bit differently, right? Because let's consider that context. It's athletes who try to do things.
Yeah,
that's important.
Yeah, I think effort and energy are equally as important in this, equation. But
he's got 4 losses this year. He lost to Trumbull, Bastida, Tay, and now Keeter, and not Keeter, Mirasola.
Marisola.
Yeah. So those are four rather athletic guys. They're also four large athletic guys. Mirasol being kind of the smallest of those four. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much of that was, not taking anything away from Mirasola, obviously, but how much of that was just Feldman like, damn, we're getting our asses kicked. Is his head even in it? A Big Ten conference tournament or like a neutral site, a closer duel, maybe that's a different outcome. But when you
He
see
didn't
your
even have the
teammates,
splits to do afterwards. So he didn't have that to look forward to.
Teammates getting the shit kicked out of them the whole time. It's like, oh, I got to go out there and wrestle now, and these fans are really, they're really freaking hating me. Different mindset. But yeah, props to Mirasola for pulling that one out for sure.
Well, in general with Feldman too, like we just listed his losses, and they're not bad.
No.
Like in
No,
context,
the number
a
1,
lot
2,
of guys,
5, and 12 guy.
Yeah, a lot of guys lose matches during the regular season and still win NCAA titles. So like it's not out of the question. But
except for Cale Sanderson.
That's true. Yes, yes, he did not. The people I listed did not count as that. But no, it was an ass kicking. It was a really, really impressive duel, and it's one of those things where I just look back and I'm like, here I am, so excited for this duel and really, really pumped and amping it up, and it's got all the makings of some great competitive matches, which we have seen over the years with some of these Penn State teams, whether it be Ohio State or Arizona State or Iowa or some of these other competitive duels. And yeah, they're basically like, oh, okay, sweet. So we had all our guys wrestling in the world championships and we didn't want to go to this tournament. And whether those two things are related or not doesn't really matter at this point. But everyone thinks that this team's better than us. We're going to remind everyone who we are. And we're young.
You said we are. That's funny.
Shit.
Unintentional joke.
Penn State homer.
Yeah. Got your homer glasses on.
There we go. Like we can't be accused of being anti-Penn State at this point.
Yeah, it happens every week. Doesn't matter. You know what we should have did also, and
I don't like their shade of blue.
I forgot to bring it up.
I'm not a fan of.
We should have named our favorite go-to karaoke songs in the weigh-in, and I completely forgot about it. And now as I'm looking at Mitchell Messenbrink's name and seeing how badly he beat up on Patty Gallagher, I'm remembering that we should have brought in our favorite go-to karaoke songs. And
that does not help the serial killer vibes at all.
Listen,
Mitchell, come on.
At this point, I'm going to defend that, all right? Because he has too high of a profile to be murdering lots of people. All right. I know it's a joke, so let me just preface that piece of it before I go any further with this.
He's not wearing the glasses as much anymore either, so maybe he's just trying to throw you off the trail.
He's making some moves. He's showing people he's a man of many talents.
Well,
a lot of
many
people,
attempts.
Yeah, it attempts. It's called practice, Robbie. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but that's how you get better at things and putting yourself out there. All jokes aside, it's easy to shit on the kid for going out there and singing and putting it out there.
Yeah, definitely not shit on him, but it is kind of funny to see.
It is. It's out of context. It's not at all what I would have expected my guy to be doing. I love singing songs. I love karaoke. I can't name a song that it's my go-to because I name artists. All right, Holmes. I name artists. I will sing lots of Billy Joel. I will sing lots of Journey. Catalogs. All right. So I'm going to defend him in that instance. I like him getting out there and doing his thing.
With his fast pace, I would have expected like something quick, like a Busta Rhymes verse or like a quick Eminem song.
That would have been hilarious.
That would have been hilarious.
I would have.
I'm going to be honest.
Can we see that next? I would love that.
There's immediate problems with Busta Rhymes, though. We should stand in front of that.
I hope he does it again, honestly, because it was outside of the bullshit in the world. It was a nice little timeline cleanse to see this man put some of the pipes out there.
It's also nice from Penn State, who's a program who doesn't let that side show very often.
A lot of personality.
They always talk about having fun, but they never, they don't let a lot of that personality shine. So that's what I liked about it. Kind of all jokes about it aside.
We're gonna have fun with it, but like it didn't bother me, but it certainly was not expected.
My answer is only Chumbawamba songs.
Only Chumbawamba, yeah.
So
one of them.
Look, they were a big band before Tub Thumping. Just because you guys don't know their early tracks, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
I can't tell if you're joking or if you actually listen to early Chumbawamba. Jesus
Robbie
Christ.
grew up in Nebraska. Songs were different. Music was different out there.
Music was definitely different.
Did you hear 79 album?
Their live album at Wembley. That was great.
Oh man. But no, I just from one unexpected thing to another, right? Like did not expect Messenbrink to be clutching a microphone and hitting the high notes, and then did not expect Penn State to just put it on Ohio State this way, 35-6. So, and I guess we got to give a shout out to Johnny DeJulius too for doing all the shit talking that he did, and
he's hilarious.
Yeah,
I want to hang out with Johnny.
I'll also give it to Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel, sometimes I'm gonna be honest, sometimes gets a little cringy. But his response to Johnny of how he was putting together a scrimmage duel so that Penn State was ready for the postseason was awesome. So props to all the Ohio State and Penn State alums and these guys that have big personalities on social media.
McCutcheon got in there too.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. McCutcheon he's pretty funny, and Johnny saying you're not a real doctor, and pretty hilarious between these guys. Pretty hilarious. But no, I mean, overall, it was an entertaining duel to start, right? Like you had overtime bouts, you had what you thought was going to be Ohio State getting back into the duel with Jesse Mendez getting that tech fall and making it 6-5, but then it was like Shane Van Ness is like, yeah, that's cool. Here's a tech fall for you. PJ Duke, here's a pin for you. Here's a major. Here's another tech. Like I said, you thought that things were gonna be okay, or at least that they were gonna have more than one win, and then Fishback just, shit the bed, and it was just like to watch him crumble that way was pretty wild. So. I don't know. It was, again, it was entertaining, but unexpected result for sure.
And the one thing that I noticed too, I went back and watched 84 just because I was putting the kids to bed and all. I didn't get to really engage it when I was watching it live, so I went back and watched it. Welsh, I think, does a great job of, and all the Penn State guys, which is obviously what makes them successful, is they do the little things very, very well. Like I noticed Fishback was behind Welsh trying to mat return him after the takedown in the first, and Welsh was doing a great job of just blocking him off and really making Fishback earn that mat return. He easily could have just let him go and went back to hand fighting. But as I think someone brought up before, hand fighting Rocco Welsh is not fun. So I think Fishback picked his poison. I'm going to work at this mat return. And all those attempts added up, right? At the end of the match, he was spent. Was it solely because of that? Probably not. No, but when you trying to pick a guy up 100 times, he's not letting you. He gets really heavy in the hips. That stuff that weighs on you. So I thought if there's any young guys out there that want to learn how to do that, Welsh is a good example of just blocking off, defending, and just making everything hard. Don't give the easy points up, essentially. And Welsh did that very well, and it paid dividends in the end.
Well, and just to quickly comment on that, I mean, that's been such a staple of Penn State wrestling for the last several years. We talked about a year ago how they continue to hook the leg, and then they'll just kind of drag on the bottom when they're on top, and just make it so much more difficult for you to get away and get that easy point. And again, until they make a rule against that, it's not stalling unless there's a rule against it. Then
we have
they're
to count
just gonna,
or something.
Yes, exactly. We can't count. He's hooking with his leg instead of his hand, so therefore doesn't matter.
Ipso facto.
Yeah, but no. Point being, like, yeah, they all of those small little things, those little positional like increments that you can control, they control over and over again.
And the thing about like that Fishback match is he was getting to Welsh's leg multiple times.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't really until that final takedown that Welsh was actually able to get to Fishback's legs. Like he controlled, I mean, he had a riding time point, so he had over a minute of riding time. He took him down multiple times. Like he controlled the majority of that match and then just couldn't hold on to it. So, I mean, obviously a learning experience on how to close matches out for Fishback, but like, man, like you blinked and it was over. Like you certainly thought that he was going to ride out to win. Even the escape, I'm like, all right, it's one escape. Just you've done so well so far, not giving up a takedown. Continue to shoot, continue to, like if you're looking for an upset, you're like, just continue to shoot, continue to block, like waste some time here, continue to circle. And he just wilted, and there was nothing that he could do about it.
Yeah, even when Fishback got on Walsh's legs, Walsh's hips were just so damn heavy, and that constant pressure. Just we keep reiterating that the tiny things and that constant pressure, forced Fishback to kind of give in a little bit. But yeah, good match to go watch if you're learning on these little things and kind of see what we're talking about. It's a good example.
Yeah. Let's move to some conference crossover, I guess, for the sake of our old name. Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, and Robbie was in attendance for this one. First, I mean, what was the atmosphere like? Good, good amount of fans on hand. What were the senses hitting on when you were at this duel?
It was great. It's the second largest crowd in Castle history. It was just over 6,000 people. I didn't realize until I found that out. I was actually at the largest crowd was when Penn State came down in like 2010 ish. That was before the renovation of Castle. So that was really good. But the atmosphere was fantastic. The Corps cadets did a really good job getting out. They filled up a whole section of the stands. There was a good number of Oklahoma State fans there as well. I know they brought a couple of their big donors with them, but there was a lot more Oklahoma State fans than I expected to see, this far away from their home, right? The atmosphere was great. It was, very hyped up. The starting at 25, we knew we were going to have two really big matches off the bat, and they both delivered in very different ways. But it was back and forth duel. It didn't come down to the last match, but had the possibility of coming down to the last match. So it was competitive, and up and down the lineup, it was fun. It was fun to watch. I don't think either team attacked as much as they normally do, which was kind of interesting to me. But it was solid wrestling for 10 straight matches. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun to be there.
Yeah, it started off with, and honestly, I don't know, I guess I was a little disappointed that they didn't let 25 and 33 be the co-main and main events of the night.
Yeah.
But the Ventresca and Spratley match going into tiebreaker, you saw people say, like, where was the stall warning on Ventresca? Like, how come he wasn't hit for stalling? And then that takedown sequence, which was very close to being a takedown. I wouldn't have been surprised if he gave him a takedown in that situation, to be completely honest. But Ventresca didn't really attack very much. Spratley was holding center. It was one of those situations where you were wondering when Ventresca was going to pull the trigger, where he was going to create that X factor, and he did it on top in overtime. And I know you obviously talked to Coach Robbie afterwards, and if you haven't already checked out that interview, make sure you guys go check it out on our YouTube channel. But like, thoughts around Ventresca not being very offensive in that match with Spratley? Do you feel like that was game plan or just shyness from familiarity?
I think a little bit of both. I know that he's been putting a lot more emphasis on riding and being in better position with that, and that was ultimately what won him the match. I was surprised to not see him, pick spots for shots, which he's done a really good job with this year. He's been more selective with shots, but has had for the most part a high offensive output. But he's been very selective with when and where he takes his shots, and like they're very explosive, very quick. But you didn't see that at all this match. You seem more tentative. That to me felt more like a familiarity issue because this is the third time they've wrestled. The first time was, I think it was a major. It was a blowout for Spratley in the duel last year.
I think it was like
and
10-1.
Yeah, Virginia Tech wrestled like absolute shit that whole duel, so that's not super surprising. But their next match was the NCAA semifinals in this same situation here, right? Came down to tiebreakers. So I think they're very evenly matched, even though their styles are a little bit different. Would be interested to see Eddie open it up more. I think he relies a lot on his defense because he knows that he can keep almost anybody from scoring on him. I think in the last 2 years, Spratley has more takedowns on him than anybody else. And that was because he got 2 of them, 2 or 3 in that match. So that's a weird fact of how few takedowns Ventresca has actually surrendered. But yeah, that was not a super exciting match. Edge of your seat because it went to tiebreakers, but certainly not the output we could see from either of them.
Yeah. The 133 match was, I think, everything that we wanted it to be.
That was a fucking fantastic match.
That was great.
It was honestly great, and you heard Robbie say that Seidel out wrestled them, and 3 takedowns to 1. Jax picked up back points. I'm sorry to anybody that thinks that Seidel had back points at any point. He did not. He didn't. He had a bunch.
No, I think he was close a couple times.
He was close, but a bunch of just one counts.
Yeah, that shows how good the awareness that Forrest has of his body position. To me, being able to adjust that quickly and know where he's at, that's a statement to him knowing himself and knowing how to get out of those positions.
Yeah. Robbie,
that was the first time
why do you hate Virginia Tech so much?
I do. Robbie smells. That's why mostly.
Like cucumber?
No, that must be what he uses to wax his head and make it so shiny. That makes sense.
There we go.
That makes sense. No, I was really impressed with both of them. They did not. Neither of them appeared to be a true freshman in that instance. They both wrestled very composed. They both had situations where they were very much out of control. Like the other guy was very much in control, and they kept their composure and came through it. Like Jax very much could have pinned Seidel in that situation, and he almost did. And Seidel could have gotten back points in multiple opportunities, and he almost did. So that match is very much on the edges, and I don't think it's nearly as dominant as Forrest has been in their previous matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Claunch, your thoughts on 33 at Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State?
Yeah, it was just an awesome match. I agree with the kind of chaos element, Robbie, that you mentioned. And it makes me think, like, bigger picture, I hope we don't lose that. I know we've talked about over and over again how as guys get, more deep into their college career, they kind of start to slow down and wrestle a little bit more conservatively because they can and they know they can. And it's like, man, like, do you remember how much fun it was to just let it fly and see what happened and how much people enjoy these matches and how no one who's actually wrestling gives a shit about whether or not the crowd enjoys it. Honestly, like if you're winning your match, you go home feeling good about yourself, and you always have places to improve and adjust. But like, I don't know, back to the match itself. It was fantastic. I really love that both those guys clearly had like this marked on their calendar as something that they were going to be ready and prepared for. Ultimately, we'll find out next weekend, right? Like Oklahoma State, Iowa, if this is going to be his spot or not regarding Jax. But yeah, for that weekend, it was awesome. It was super fun. Guys really got after it. And I don't know. I hope we're going to see it this March, but I guess
Yeah, I'd love to see that rematch.
Yeah, this weekend will decide that.
Yeah, I think two things of note, though. One, to Robbie for letting us know that Jack Forrest was the only person that weighed in, and two, to Virginia Tech for putting it out there an hour before to let people know that the match was going to happen, basically because Jack Forrest is the only 33 to weigh in.
I do want to point out real quick, I am less excited. Oh, this is stupid. I hate when I come up with a good joke and then it sucks. Who is the Arizona State? Oh, Figueroa. Like, I'm less excited for Seidel Figueroa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't think that would go over well for Figueroa at all.
I think that's done in the first 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I think we just made the decision for Coach Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, they did travel both guys.
That's good.
Who's the other kid that they had?
Ramirez,
Ronnie.
Yeah, at 33. It obviously wouldn't have been as good of a match as this was, but
I guess we'll never know.
I mean, Richie, I'm sorry, like you're not the guy here anymore. And I know somebody alluded to it like a couple weeks ago when we mentioned Richie just being not big enough for the weight class, looking like he's out of place, and saying, like, if you think that it's a weight issue that is bothering, like, we know there's other factors at play, but we're going to discuss the things that you can see on the surface when it comes to it.
It'd be really shitty to just start diving in to why some of these college kids might not be doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Presumptively.
Yeah.
So we're not going to start with that kid.
Yeah. But
I've got a list. If you want me to publish it, I can.
Yeah. Yeah. I as hopeful as I am that Jax is the guy on the mat next week, like, or this coming weekend, like, for Drake Ayala's sake, I hope he's not. To be completely honest, like, Drake Ayala has not had a very good season, and
his last weekend was pretty good.
Yeah, didn't have much fight last weekend. But I mean, to see Jax Forrest across the mat in your final duel, probably not what you want at this point in the season. You know, he's been under 500. He's been at 500 a couple of times throughout the year. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that he's hoping Jax Forrest redshirts. I'm obviously I'm lying. Like, I don't think that he wants to shy away from competition, but not the match you want right now. You know, definitely not the match that you want going into the postseason. Austin, your thoughts on this then too? Then
the only quick argument against that is that if you see him there, then that means he's going to be at NCAAs. Therefore, you would want to see him and get your hands on him.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, obviously 33 was a breath of fresh air, you know, compared to the match before where, and we've talked about it before. It's like these young guys, Jack, Seidel, Bo Bassett coming up. You know, they just want to go out and they want to wrestle. You know, they put themselves in wrestling positions, and whoever comes out on top is scoring points. Great. And it's not, all right, we'll go again in another position and I'll get you this time. You know, it's just frustrating to see, you know, Ventresca. I mean, maybe it's just the last 2 times I saw Eddie wrestle, he won in rideouts against the national champ and then NCAA runner up, you know, so maybe that's not a good bar to measure. I get that. But when guys just go around and stand around and kind of hope for overtime, maybe get one opportunity, I don't know. I'm just the fan part of me speaking out. Is like, go out and put yourself in wrestling positions and see who the better wrestler is. You know, it's kind of frustrating when, and like Robbie alluded to it, Eddie can go out and score. Ventresca can go out and get takedowns. It's just he hasn't done that in the past. And you're never going to see, I don't think you'll ever see Jax or Seidel go 0-0 after the first period. If you do, it's rare because these guys want to get on top. They want to score points, and they're out wrestling. They're not really worried about the score because they're confident in their scrambling abilities and, you know, just wrestling positions and, you know, whatever else. They're going to come out on top on the scoreboard. So it's just, it's fresh. It's fresh to see that. I like 133 a lot. Vega went out and did his thing as well. And and down to Lockett, scoring a takedown right off the bat, and then at
And not
65,
doing much the rest of
and
the
then
match.
then kind of coasting a little bit, and then maybe getting one at the end too. But if he could kind of keep that pace up a little bit more, put more points on the board, it'd be great. But again, they're all still young and learning. But yeah, I don't know. I rambled on a lot, but I guess I'm just trying to say I like to see good wrestling. Go out and score points and back and forth, haymaker here, haymaker there, and that makes it exciting.
Yeah, the freshmen definitely stepped up. They're the ones that are going out and swinging and putting on a show for literally everyone. So, I mean, hopefully that never dies off. Robbie, I want to come back to you. There were, obviously a number of matches that were very good throughout this duel. But who stood out to you, whether it be Oklahoma State, whether it be Virginia Tech? I know, in our group, we were like, man, we expected more from Facundo. That is for sure. And I think he's left a lot to be desired. But I mean, you're a top 10 guy. Like, I feel like there's been a lot to be desired with him, especially as highly rated and coveted as he was coming out of college, coming out of high school. Certainly a guy you expect a little bit more from than 4-1 against the number 30 ranked wrestler in your weight class. But who were kind of these guys that stood out to you, Robbie, throughout the duel?
Yeah, I mean for different reasons. Drew Gorman stood out to me because he just the sacrifice he kind of made for the team there. His fifth date, he moved up from 141 to 149 because they didn't have anybody else to go, and he went and got a win. Albeit it was a over their backup as well since Swiderski was out. But just from a team standpoint, I think that's big. The Facundo match was very frustrating to me from the ACC side because Sergio Desciante has shown that he can get in deep on damn near anybody, but he can't finish a fucking shot to save his life right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing that happened on and they're doing Friday night. Like he was in probably 5 or 6 times on Kerrigan and could not finish a shot. And it was the same with Facundo. He was in deep on the edge multiple times early in the match. And even the only takedown there was for Facundo was off of DeSante's shot. So it's frustrating that you could see he has that potential to get to that next level, and he just hasn't taken that step. So that's that's tough to see. The other match that stood out was 197, Sasso and Merrill, and it was a huge win for Sasso. It was his first top 10 win of the year. And it wasn't a win in the typical way that Sonny Sasso wins. So I think that was good to show kind of his growth and maturity where he wasn't taking unnecessary risks, which he's prone to do. Also leads to him scoring points in bunches because he does random shit. But I think he was very aware of where he was and what he needed to do and did it. Controlled the match against a very tough, very positionally sound Cody Merrill.
Yeah. I'm always impressed by Lockett and, he scored takedown, kind of shut it down, scored later in the match. But I just feel like he's seasoned beyond like his years in being able to do that and score when he needs to score, be defensive when he needs to be defensive. However, it would be nice to see him go out and score points, but I feel like in his match against like Caliendo earlier in the season, him having, I guess let's call it wrestling IQ up against a guy that he was certainly out, kind of outmatched, but he outshot Caliendo in that match. And we'll get to Caliendo obviously a little bit later, but like we've seen Lockett in these close matches where he has a bit of mat tactics, wrestling these guys to either conserve energy or put himself in better positions or, and it's just, I don't know. It's impressive for me to see a freshman come in with that style. It kind of goes to show that some of these younger guys are just ready to wrestle on this next level.
And I think I would agree with that. for the majority of the matches I've seen from him this year. I think the complete opposite was true in this match against Church. This is a match where he should have realistically blown Church out of the water. It should have at least been a major, if not a tech fall. He showed immediately that he could score at will and then just shut it down when he didn't need to. Like, yeah, there's going to be situations where you're going to want to conserve that. This wasn't one of them. And then just kind of some of the goofy shit that he was doing with his sticking his leg out there and like that to me was not the maturity that we've seen from him in other matches this year, that we've seen this year. Yeah. And that's the kind of thing that he'll grow with. But that's what stood out to me. One, that he could score whenever he wanted to, but that he wasn't, you could see he was a freshman, and that's not something that we've seen from him this year. We haven't seen that from Vega either. We haven't
Certainly
seen that.
Vega.
Yeah, that quite honestly for Oklahoma State, across the board, I was most impressed with Vega. His body awareness is insane, and like what he can do with his hips doesn't make sense. Like he's Shakira level, hips don't lie, floating everywhere.
Do not blaspheme Shakira. All right. I had her poster. I had a 2-sided poster of her in my basement as a high school kid.
2-sided poster?
But I had
put it on your like your
I had 2 of them so I could have both sides up at once.
Wow.
I just had them next to each other. Yeah.
Busted open the piggy bank for a set of posters.
That's right. Well, they were birthday
gifts. Like $1.39.
Mine, yeah. Whenever, wherever, that was my jam. So
I thought they were on your ceiling.
Yeah, in my mind, that's where they lay.
I like Vega. I like Vega bringing the tights back too. There's a few guys in the lineup, kind of, bring that back as well. And even my wife mentioned, like, do people wear those? I was like, no. It seems like a new fad that
not in a lot of years. No.
Yeah.
A lot of Jersey guys used to wear them. I can remember when I was in high school. So yeah, just seeing things come back is pretty fun. But yeah, I was impressed by Vega just in the sense of having the wherewithal to say, I still have time on the clock to score and get bonus. And, when it's short time and he's continuing to shoot and not shoot wildly and put himself in bad position, that was what was impressive to me. And like, just the mat awareness and the IQ to know what the time on the clock was and what the score was, and his ability to go out and score bonus was very apparent, obviously, during the match. Any other thoughts on Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech?
I'm going to comment on Facundo real quick. And this is a bummer because he's a Michigan guy. Like, it's just his offense has never developed. His defense has always been so good. And I'm sure there's some technical levels that I'm just not understanding, as much as I watch the sport, as far as like where his development has come in there. But like, what's clear to me is that people have realized, like, hey, just set your shots up to the point where you're going to finish this, like finish quickly against him. He's not going to take you down. And the competition at the highest level has kind of realized that. I didn't realize this until just a minute ago. I was like, well, I feel like he was like a round of 12 or round of 16 as a freshman for Penn State. No, he went 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not remember it that way. So, yeah, he still has a lot to prove on like the highest levels. I think he's in a room where he's going to have that opportunity clearly. And as a fan of Facundo, like, I hope he can take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, it could honestly be a mental thing for him too. Like, I can remember having him in Who's Number One, and I remember specifically because it was Mike Mal and I did a crossover of our shows where I was highlighting, had a highlight of Facundo, and then Mike Mal kind of took over and broke down like this ghost-like defense that he had where he was thinking 3 steps ahead and just doesn't seem to be that guy anymore. Obviously, it was high school. Who's Number One? I know a couple of years ago, everything else. But just the point I'm trying to make is that things just didn't transfer. The confidence didn't transfer, and the ability is just kind of stuck. Mm-hmm. And seeing a guy who's ranked number 7 against a guy who's ranked number 30, and he's continuously in on his leg and potentially scoring and everything else, like, just didn't, you're like, man, like, what what's going on. He's got to flip a switch. He's got to figure it out because this is not going to win him matches at NCAAs for sure.
Can I point out real quick while I was looking this up? 2023 NCAA 165 pounds. You had David Carr, Shane Griffith. You had Quincy Monday and Caleb Fish. You had DJ Hamity and Cam Amin. And then you had Hartzlaw and Keegan O'Toole. That's a badass quarterfinals.
Yeah.
It's a really badass quarterfinals with 4 NCAA champions and more championships total. So very cool stuff.
Yeah. Claunch, I am going to kick it back to you as Michigan does not have a very good weekend and they go 0-2. They lose to Iowa and they lose to Wisconsin. Identical match scores. And, you know, we talked about it offline, but Michigan goes into the Iowa match and damn near beat Iowa. And then they come out of that and not so well against Wisconsin. What did you see about, what did you see coming from Michigan in these 2 losses?
I mean, maybe this is just too easy to say, but like they just showed up flat against Wisconsin after a tough loss on the road, and for all the credit that Wisconsin is getting, and they've had a good year, right? This is a team that just got absolutely smoked by Indiana the weekend before. So it's like, are you thinking to yourself, is this a team that's like here ready to show up and wrestle hard, or are we going to walk into this team that just got, that just rolled over against the Hoosiers? And yeah, they bounced back. So credit to Reeder and Bono and all those guys getting them ready to go. As far as Michigan goes, I mean, good start against Iowa. Really good start against Iowa. The Mantanona match got me so amped up for Bo and getting that win against Kennedy. And I think I was texting you guys. I was like, I can't believe he just left his hand on that leg and got that stall call. Like, that's ridiculous to do. But then to totally redeem himself in overtime by buying that mini bike and selling the no, I'm talking about Dumb and Dumber again. By getting that takedown there was fantastic. So, and it's just a bummer. Like Brock, went into the unranked Gabe Arnold, which is still ridiculous to me. Can we at least like give the man some credit and put some rankings on his name? Do we have to do this? Like we're all, smart people. We don't need
I hope he ends up at Nebraska next year. I could.
I just need to have like some more, like and maybe I'm not trying to put more on your plate, Earl. I get it. Like, but can somebody just have some like reality to be like, we'll just put like, hey, blanket Iowa 184 and like split the difference somewhere in there, right? Figure this out. Anyway, so yeah, the loss for Brock at 184 is a bummer. And then the loss at 197, like, credit to I apologize. I should have looked this up. I don't even remember the guy's name who beat him. Was it Sampson? No, that's the guy who was supposed to be there.
Ludington.
Yeah, my apologies, Ludington. You showed up and you showed out and you wrestled really well and you beat a guy who's ranked in the top 20.
And Ludington is apparently going to be redshirting this year too.
Yeah.
So I wonder what I was going to do at 97 if Ludington now has his 5 dates, I believe, after after Purdue? Like Purdue was his 5th.
You're right.
So
yeah.
Supposedly he's redshirting.
I don't know. It was a good showing and a loss on Friday. It was a bad showing and a loss on Sunday. I mean, similar sort of things though. You can't lose matches where you're favored, and you can't make matches closer where they shouldn't be. And that was kind of the theme for the weekend. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of stick with Iowa because they have a tough one, obviously, against Michigan, but then they beat up on Purdue pretty good. But the headline is Joey Blaze beating Caliendo.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was Bash that posted that the Blaze brothers are currently 35-0 this season. Marcus with Penn State, and then obviously Joey with Purdue. And this was a convincing match. I mean, 7-4. And I think he had one other takedown that wasn't called. I know there was a lot of people that were not liking the call, and we'll certainly get to takedown talk probably next week. I've got a couple of nuggets. Austin did a really good job with pulling some different nuggets and things, so we'll get to that next week. But it looked like a takedown to me. I think they got to change something. But nonetheless, like Joey Blaze beating Michael Caliendo, very good match by Joey Blaze. He's really filled out into this 165-pound weight class. Claunch, back to you. What do you make of this Joey Blaze beating Caliendo?
I'm so excited to be able to talk about this. Dude, it was awesome. Caliendo, like I didn't even have a chance to look at this up on WrestleStat, and so maybe somebody can do it in the meantime. But what I will say is that like Caliendo is an absolute machine and has been destroying people for the last several years, right? Like his pace doesn't slow down. We talked earlier about Ben Davino being slowed down against Marcus. Joey more or less did the same. Well, I don't want to say he slowed down the pace because the match wasn't slow. Like
he more so dictated it though.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He definitely dictated how the positions were going to be moving. And I know I told you guys last year, you know, when I got the chance to go down to Purdue and see everybody, I was like, you know, I said to Coach Erskine, I was like, dude, Joey's humongous. He's like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to keep him down to 157 for very long. So filling into 165, especially with how well he wrestled over the summer in some of the freestyle stuff, it makes sense. You know, the guy.
That's when we realized he was enormous. During the freestyle season.
Like he's confident at this weight and is still moving really well. Clearly has the strength and dexterity to be able to function well at the weight. So, but this was kind of the win you needed for him on the year to say like, oh, this is for real now.
Yeah.
And it was, I can say that confidently. So yeah, very excited.
Yeah, I think his other big wins are Brandon Scholes, which came a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to see. I mean, Nico Ruiz is in here. Cody Walsh, LJ Aruja. Not too many big wins on the season. I mean, he beat Ty Whalen as well.
Well, that's the thing is he's always beaten the guys he's been ranked above. Yeah. This was the first guy this year he was not ranked above that he went out there and took care of business.
Yeah. And convincingly, right? Like 7-4, like that's a good amount of points on a guy that was in the NCAA finals last year. I mean, I know obviously Blaze was as well, but like him, a completely different weight class, right? Like Caliendo is rough, dude. He's tough to beat.
In fairness to Blaze, when you're ranked fourth, there's not a lot of people above you to beat, you know, for that whole logic to work out. But hey, he finally got his hands on one and took care of business.
Yeah, I mean, there just hasn't been too many top 10 guys that have really been in his way throughout the year that he has seen. So, you know, through no fault of his own, he hasn't had the top of the line competition, but he's certainly made the most of it with being what's his record now? 17-0. So, very good showing for Blaze against Caliendo.
Lockett's second.
Lockett is second. Lockett beat Caliendo early in the year. That was at National Duels that he won that match. Yeah. Austin, your thoughts on the Purdue Iowa match in and of itself, or at least the Caliendo loss to Blaze?
Yeah, you know, Blaze making the finals last year at NCAAs was a little bit of a shock to me. I think probably for a lot of people, but then you look back at how he's progressed. Like you guys mentioned, the freestyle scene, he tore it up, and this year undefeated, up a weight class. You know, looking back, it's crazy to think that was a shock at the time. I just think 57 was quite a pull for him. And, you know, at the end of the year, he finally got under control, felt good, and went out and wrestled well. yeah, I just think he's going to put up a good fight with Lockett, and how Big Ten shakes out and how the NCAA tournament seeding shakes out. That'll be an interesting top 1, 2, 3, 4 seed wise between. Messerschmitt will probably be the 1. If Lockett wins Big 12s, probably the 2. If Blaze beats Caliendo again, probably the 3, right? If they split, maybe they give Caliendo the 3. I mean, I don't know, but he doesn't want to be that 4 or 5 seed and meet Messenbrink, in the semis there. So
yeah,
if you could get him a 2 or 3 seed, I think that'll be better overall for the bracket, in my opinion.
Yeah. Robbie, your thoughts on how Blaze has looked this year?
Damn incredible. Looks really mature. I mean, easy to say with how he ended last season that would be the expectation, but moving up a weight class, you never know for sure what you're going to get. And he's been the leader for the team and has outperformed my expectations of him moving up. I was incredibly impressed by how well he handled the match this weekend with Caliendo, and that it was very much his match, and it was going to be done his way. And that's not something that many people can do to Caliendo. So I think that says a lot.
I want to even throw this question out there. Would you consider Blaze for being on the list of Hodge contenders with him being undefeated right now? I mean, obviously he doesn't have the toughest resume, but as we've seen, undefeated means people are going to have the conversation around you for sure for Hodge usually. Do we think he should be part of that with being a returning NCAA finalist? Claunch, your thoughts?
I think it's important to point out 2 things here. One, whenever we're talking Hodge at this point in the season, it's important to always point out at this point in the season, right? And I just mean that in the sense that, before the season starts, we could have thrown out a shit ton of names that would not have been relevant at this point, right?
Yeah.
I also think that, no, Blaze is not, no, definitely not. There's 2 other guys at his weight class that are undefeated, and one of them is far and away above as far as the Hodge criteria that we think of. So unless that were to dramatically change in the next month, then no, probably not. Especially knowing that match is coming up theoretically here in the Big Tens. The other point I wanted to make, so I've referenced this a couple times. I listened to a college basketball podcast. Mark Titus, who played basketball at Ohio State, is the guy who does it. Did you guys catch this where he referenced, at the end of their Super Bowl preview for Barstool stuff, so-and-so is carrying the team this weekend.
I did hear about this.
Joey Blaze is carrying the Purdue wrestling team. I loved that because my worlds overlapped and that was fun for me. But also I was that's not really fair because Purdue does have a really good team. As far as NCAA wrestling is concerned, it's tough when you're in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is really tough, but still a top 25 team. Anyway, I wanted to shout that out. Shout out Mark Titus, and I wanted to make sure that context was included in that because it's a good team. It's a really good team, and I look forward to talking about them shortly as I preview Indiana and Purdue.
So I kind of threw the Hodge talk out there a little bit. I want to dig a little bit more into it. And Robbie, I'm going to come to you. If you had a vote for Hodge, and
you're saying that I don't,
you might not. I don't know.
He has the only that to. It's actually the only vote that matters.
It is the only one.
It's why Caleb Henson has won 5 years in a row.
Right, you have to cast your vote tomorrow for Hodge. Who are you casting your vote for? And before anybody wants to throw out a whole list of names, yes, I put Blaze in there mostly because he's undefeated, and I'm sure that everybody's list has a number of undefeated guys on it. It's a 2-horse race. It's Messenbrink, it's Mendez. Sorry, it just is. Robbie, who are you casting your vote for tomorrow if you have to put in a vote for Hodge?
I think Mendez. eye test, I think I mean, clearly they're both incredibly dominant, but I've been personally more impressed by Mendez. And that's really all I can base that off of.
Yeah. Austin,
Especially
you have a
knowing
vote?
that Joey Oliveri, who's also undefeated, is in his weight class. So he's also
It's
a Hodge
true.
Trophy contender. So we have to consider him.
Well, that's how it's been over the years of like, hey, this guy's undefeated. We're gonna like, and I don't mean by the fans. I mean by like
By the voters, by the
by the
criteria.
voters. Like, hey, look at every undefeated wrestler.
I get it. I get
All
it.
these undefeated guys. But no, Austin, you have a vote tomorrow. It's Messenbrink, it's Mendez. Who's getting your vote?
I think I got to lean Mendez or Messenbrink. Just 100% bonus rate. The best guy he's faced is number 3 at his weight, and he majored him. He beat him in NCAA finals last year, beat him 4 times last year. Yeah, I think Messenbrink wins. Mendez has 2 decisions on the year. That's probably the only holdback, in my opinion.
Launch. Who are you voting for?
Probably Messenbrink.
Joey Oliveri.
Yeah. I am actually going. Hold on. Let's go Meyer Shapiro. No, let's go Mitchell Messenbrink. It would be ridiculous to think that there's not some level of narrative included in this as well, right? There is. It's just generally how this has gone over the years.
Well, if that's the case, then why wouldn't you go with Mendez if there's some sort of narrative? Because Mendez, 2 titles back to back. It would be, I mean, essentially he's going for his 3rd, whereas opposed to Messenbrink is going for his 2nd.
Yeah, but that's math. That's not like
numbers.
Yeah, that's not the same thing. I just feel like Mitchell Messenbrink had the momentum coming into the year. He's done nothing but continue to dominate. I think it was probably assumed that he would be the favorite to win it based on not only his history of success and dominance in the years, but like he's done nothing but continue that. Like I don't understand why you would penalize a guy for doing everything he was expected to do versus somebody else who's kind of the underdog in that standpoint.
Penalizing him for the singing video.
Fair enough.
I'm giving him 2 extra points for that.
Although, you know what was funny though is when who's the first overall draft pick in this year's NFL draft? The Indiana quarterback.
Oh, this year?
Mendoza. Yeah. So when they beat Ohio State, I think the first time, and he was interviewed and he was just doing the whole like, oh shucks, I can't believe we won thing. And it was like, did he just lose the Hodge? Was like a whole bunch of tweets that I just heard the Heisman. Yeah, he won it anyway. No, you can't lose the best person available trophy by being a dork, as it turns out. Just a name to throw out, since we're throwing names out, Yonger Bastida is 20-0 and has beaten the shit out of pretty much all the heavyweights in a really, really good heavyweight.
I'd have him up there pretty high though too.
Yeah. He hasn't wrestled Isaac Trumbull yet.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Isaac Trumbull also in the Hodge Trophy conversation, 13-0.
Well, Bastida has hit like just about every top 5 guy.
Everybody
like,
but Trumbull.
Yeah, like it is crazy, his hit list. Like, so I don't know. I feel like Bastida has a very good argument to be in the mix between Mendez and Messenbrink right now with just his resume alone. Obviously, being the number 1 ranked guy, as Messenbrink is, it's like, what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? But Bastida also number 1 ranked guy, and he's taking down number 3. I don't have the rankings in front of me, but I think it's like 3, 4, and 5 so far this season.
I think so.
Ferrari's 3, Gadali's 4, Taylor's 5.
He beat up Gadali pretty good too. I mean, obviously, I think it was All-Star, but he's still.
Oh, he kicked his ass. Yeah,
like pretty good beating on him. So yeah, I honestly don't blame people if they did want to throw a Bastida into the mix of the Hodge talk.
I want to shout out heavyweights in general this year, because I'm scrolling through this like top intermat list here, the top 20 dudes are pretty badass.
Mhm.
It's really deep when Dayton Pitzer is 15th and Jimmy Mullins 17th. Like, that's a good list of dudes. Braxton Amos is 10. Yeah. Shout out to heavyweights.
A good crop of heavies. I think I'm casting my vote for Mendez, honestly. And I know, yeah, give me the hater glasses. I don't care. For me, the narrative is that you've got a back-to-back NCAA champion going for his third, and he's been dominant over just about everybody throughout the entire year. I know it's just about everybody where Messenbrink has what 100% bonus rate, but he's going for his second title. I shouldn't say only, but he's going for his second title, whereas Mendez is going for his third. I
They're
don't know.
gonna do
It's
that.
just
Are they gonna do the
looks
lame
different.
thing where they share it again, like they do every other year?
Yeah,
I
I
hope
Seems
they
like
don't
that.
do that. That'd be really dumb.
I feel like that's all they do now is, oh, it's pretty close. Let's just have them share it. It's like that. It never really used to be that way, but maybe I'm getting old.
Everyone undefeated on February 17th gets a Hodge.
There we go.
Immediately regret saying that. But no, I think that Bastida is top 3 just with how many guys he has already hit in the top 10 alone that he's already beaten. So yeah, I think it's close for him, but I would lean Mendez. So we've talked about all the fun stuff that went on last week: Penn State, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, Michigan's sour 0-2 weekend. I had a little Hodge talk in there. Before we turn the page, wanted to get any other highlights, Austin, anything that was happening in the EIWA and the Ivy. I know you mentioned Columbia in the weigh-in, but any other teams that had a good weekend or deserve to be highlighted?
Yeah, I always highlight Bucknell just because they wrestle tough. They split 5 matches and 5 matches with Lehigh on this weekend. Had a good one. American wrestled Bucknell tough the following day. Bucknell beat them by a point. American just another good scrappy team. Go down the list here. That's pretty much it. It was also a rough weekend for elbows in the IWA. Josiah Queen either dislocated, broke his elbow, had to stop the match when he was up like 12-3 against the Ryder kid. So I think he's still going to go in the postseason, but he'll definitely be a little injured. And Mason Ziegler of Lehigh had a pretty nasty elbow injury as well, wrestling Manera of Bucknell. Both happened on the same day on Saturday, Valentine's Day. So not sure if those guys were not good to the Valentines or whatever happened, but so just weird, like elbow injuries you don't see often happening the same day in the same conference. Just, weird stuff going on, but hopefully those guys heal up and, obviously conferences coming up in a few weeks, you want to be healthy. So hopefully they're back to rehab, PT, and getting squared away here.
Yeah. Robbie, I know, obviously the big one was Virginia Tech, and, honestly, great job with the interview with Robbie. Anything else happening in the ACC last week?
Yeah, second to last week of duels, NC State over Duke, pretty lopsided, 32-7. Aiden Wallace got a win, and Spencer Von Savoy got his first ACC win, first win of the year actually, over Brad Yoakum, who's Vince Robinson's backup. Then UNC was at Virginia Tech, and that one was pretty chalk. Ventresca over Terrakina. Biggest upset there was Church over Hepner, 3-2. That was a really big win for him. And Ethan Miller in overtime, sudden victory over Laird Root was also a big win there. And then the final duel was on Sunday with Stanford. Pitt was at Stanford, and it was actually a really good duel. If you want to go back and watch it, it was a lot closer than I think I would have expected. And the biggest story for that one is Angelo Basada beat Maxed Out 5-2. Basada's having a hell of a year. He's a true freshman. He's 14-4. Has a win over Sasso, has a win over Max Stout. One of his losses, Josh Barr, one Justin Rademacher, Bennett Berge, and Cody Merrill. So he doesn't have any bad losses, and he has a lot of really good wins. He was placed at Cliff Keen and has looked fantastic. One of the national leaders in pins. So definitely one to keep your eye on in the postseason. And otherwise, that duel is pretty much chalk. So closer than I would expect at the lower weights. Nico Provo needed sudden victory to beat Tyler Chappell. Tyler Knox beat Evan Talmadge 4-0. Consiglio only beat Priest 3-2. So really close. Valencia Brown 5-4. So it's a good duel to go back and watch. The announcers left a little bit to be desired, especially with their pronunciations, but that's just me being nitpicky.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to be a little bit. Claunch, anything else in the Big Ten or Maction?
I think it's important to pick nits, Robbie. That's how we hold people accountable.
Also important.
He was saying Wojciechowicz was Wolowski.
Yeah, picnics are good too.
Picnics are good too.
I love picnics.
Are good too.
Good picnic baskets.
If you
so good
nitpick a picnic, it would make for a less fun picnic, I would think.
Fair. Your charcuterie is terrible.
Yeah. Well, eat it or don't eat it. How about that? So there's that. No, I'm excited for this weekend. I did shout out IU versus Purdue. I'm obviously wearing a Purdue hat. I have mentioned many times on this podcast over the last couple of weeks how impressive Indiana has looked. So this should make for a fun duel. Indiana probably favored at 125. Ashton Jackson has been in the lineup there for the Boilermakers for most of the season.
Awesome name.
It is an awesome name.
It's almost Action Jackson.
It is. It's about as close as it gets, and I think that's on purpose. And he's a good wrestler. He just hasn't had a great year so far. I mean, you probably favor the Hoosiers in that matchup. 133 had Blake Borman transferring in from Chattanooga. I'd probably favor him over Gavin John-Drace of Indiana. They could also potentially, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say this. I don't know what the match count is for Bloom, who is the wrestler I shouted out a couple weeks ago for Indiana, who is a redshirt freshman from Purdue. But anyway, Henry Porter, I want
to beat Fugit, right?
What's that? Yeah.
Fugit, right?
Exactly. Yeah. He's a stud. I did want to shout out Henry Porter. He's one of those guys who, gosh, I can't remember what the number was, but he had lost several matches against ranked opponents in a row. And he finally got a win, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. It was against Joffrey, I believe. Yeah. In the Illinois match, to actually, break that curse for him. So I was happy for him to be able to get that done. He's been a consistent guy for them at 141 pounds. You'll have him up against Isaiah Schaefer has been in the lineup a couple times. Otherwise, it's going to be oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the guy's name. I want to say Griffin. Anyway, it's going to be a good matchup either way. I want to jump to 157. Stony Buell is the stud for the Boilermakers. Bryce Lowry won Midlands this year, I believe it was.
Didn't Stony Buell just take a loss last week too?
He did. Yes, he did. He lost to Victor Voinovich 5-0. But yeah, so you got to think he's going to be hoping to bounce back and get a big win there against a ranked opponent, especially this close to Big Tens. 165, Tyler Lillard will be taking on Joey Blaze, who we've just raved about over and over again. I trust Joey to show up ready to go for another ranked opponent, especially within conference and especially in a dual meet like this. Derek Gulcher, 174. You haven't had Blake Borman for the last several duels. The last match he won, he tweaked his knee. I think it was against Michigan State early in that match and just didn't finish the match very strongly. So I assume he's dealing with that. Then James Rowley and Sam Goen. That'll be a good one. Sam is currently ranked higher, I believe, but Rowley is absolutely a goer. Either way, I mean, like you got a rivalry. You got some really, really, really good guys in state. I'm excited to see this duel, and should be good. I think probably going into it, your favorite if you're the Hoosiers, but overall, I think it's 9-3 the last couple of years. Oh, Purdue being favored.
Yeah. In the Big 12, I mean, last week, I think it was West Virginia beats Northern Iowa last week, and now there's a lot of just like conference versus conference duels. Northern Iowa now has Wisconsin this week.
That'll be good.
Yeah, Oklahoma State obviously has Iowa. That's a big one that we've talked about. Nebraska, Utah Valley as well this week. Lehigh heads out to Arizona State. So a lot of good dual meets coming up this week. And there was a lot of good ones last week as well. I mean, if you're Northern Iowa though, you were on the losing end of two of them. You lose to West Virginia and you lose to Iowa State. Iowa State went undefeated last week with wins over Northern Iowa and West Virginia. So, Iowa State has continued to kind of keep their dominance in the Big 12 as well. And now they'll close out their season, at least their dual meet season against Missouri coming up this weekend. I think it was last week, somebody in the comments said that the only thing we're missing is some SoCon talk. So got the SoCon schedule in front of me. And last week, Chattanooga and who else was it? Gardner-Webb both went undefeated last week in the SoCon. And now coming up this week, you've got George Mason, Gardner-Webb. I think that'll be a really good one.
The Daniel Elliott, Frank Beasley battle.
Yeah.
That should be a lot of fun.
Shout out to George Mason, too. They beat Central Michigan this past weekend in criteria. I think it was the 4th or 5th level of criteria for that to get done.
Clarion, too.
Yeah. Shout out to
Gardner-Webb also has App State. That'll be their final duel of the season on the 22nd. What is that? Sunday. So a good amount of wrestling happening in the SoCon as well to cap things off. Obviously, as I said, the big one that everybody's going to be paying attention to is Oklahoma State and Iowa. Will Jax Forrest go? Won't he? Some people are saying he's redshirting this year. David Taylor has really kept these options open, especially this last week where he was like, both Ramirez and Forrest are going to be traveling with us. I guess we'll find out together. So this game of like, will he or won't he is going to continue. I think they've honestly, let's call it what it is. Oklahoma State has done very well with marketing in the David Taylor era. And they couldn't have planned this any better, honestly. Like one more duel left. Everybody asking, will Jax Forrest be going in the postseason or won't he? His match could potentially be against the two-time NCAA finalist and Drake Ayala to determine whether his red shirt gets pulled or not. It's obviously a huge rivalry between Oklahoma State and Iowa. Everybody's going to be watching it for multiple reasons, but that Jax Forrest reason is at the top of the list. So I'm looking forward to the dual meet no matter what. I think it's going to be good no matter if Jax Forrest is in the lineup or not. I also think that a Ramirez Ayala match, very good as well. I think when they wrestled, what was the score when they wrestled at the collegiate duels? 18-16, and Iowa was the winner there, right? So that one, I can't remember what was the score of the Ayala and Ramirez match. I think it was pretty close, wasn't it?
Let's find out.
What was it? All right, bad podcast.
It was 7-4 overtime. Drake Ayala decision.
Yeah, thought it was a close one. So either way, you give me Drake Ayala versus Jax Forrest, or you give me Drake Ayala versus Ron Ramirez. It's going to be a very good match, and because both those guys at 33, and I think we even talked about it at the time because it was Figs was not wrestling well, and this was maybe the first time that Ron Ramirez was in the lineup, and he goes 7-4 with Ayala, and you're like, the way he's competing, you would think that you could just keep him in the lineup and all these Jax Forrest rumors would be put to bed, but they ultimately weren't. So, I mean, whether it's a rematch between those two or Jax Forrest goes, I think we're still in for a treat at 133. This is going to be a very good duel, nonetheless. But I think Jax Forrest goes. I think they put him in the postseason. I think this is going to shape up to be a perfect end to the Oklahoma State season. What do you guys think? Austin, is Jax Forrest in the lineup or out of the lineup? Who do we get, Forrest or Ronnie Ramirez?
Yeah, gun in my head, I'm going Jax. I think he's the guy right now, at least in that room. Gives them more points in the NCAA tournament, and as a fan, more fun to watch. A little bit of a wild card, which is the whole weight classes. So adding him in that mix is going to be great for Cleveland for sure.
Yeah, Robbie, you agree? Jax is going.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to pull somebody's red shirt either way. So if you're going to pull one, I think Forrest has the higher upside.
Launch.
It's hard to say no. You bring him in, you get him ready to go. He's obviously proven that he's one of the top tier guys and could win a national title this year. Like, tell him to sit. I don't know. It would seem weird if the whole idea before was to potentially sit him so that he could get more time to train in the Oklahoma State room. I get it, but like, he's still obviously going to have time to train there while he's there potentially competing. So why not get it done? And he could potentially Olympic red shirt down the road anyway if he wanted to. So
I'm sure that's probably the plan no matter what.
Yeah. Got lots of options.
Lots of options.
Yeah. Which is what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he goes. As I said, they've done great with marketing. They've had the quarterback lead them out of the tunnel. They've had a number of other guys lead them out of the tunnel. They've had, record-breaking amounts of fans, I think, again this year. Just, overall great. I mean, they're 14-1 right now. Just having a great time with the guys that they have in the lineup that have looked very, very good. So, man, again, like I said, I'm watching no matter what. I think that Jax Forrest does go. It's on ESPN. They're, it's got all the makings of some of the best storylines for your first season if you're Jax Forrest. So I think he goes, honestly. And then,
My only concern is that it seems like the perfect storm.
It does, right?
And therefore wrestling will disappoint us.
Been there before, huh?
Yeah. What do you think the odds are that ESPN's feed goes down?
Considering that I was in the building last time the feed went down from Oklahoma State, Iowa, I think it's not a chance because it's ESPN and they actually spend money on what they do.
That's good.
So I don't know. Robbie, I know you didn't speak to what we have coming up this week in the ACC, so give us kind of a preview of what's to come this week.
Final ACC duels. We have Virginia Tech, who effectively has sealed up the dual title. They're hosting Duke. Stanford is traveling to North Carolina. There'll be a few good matches in that one. Provo Terrakina will be good. Knox Oakley, if Oakley wrestles, he hasn't wrestled in like a few weeks. Same thing with Simcox. Hoping to see him back against Consiglio. And then Cardenas Laird Root will be a good match as well. Then Virginia Pitt, biggest ones to watch there. Probably 41. Briar Pieces look really good. Gable Porter's look pretty good. And then 49, Wenton Denkins and Cade Brown have both had pretty solid years so far. Those would be the big ones to keep an eye on there. There's not a whole lot of excitement in the Duke Virginia Tech duel. And then the big one, NC State is hosting Cornell for their senior night, which is going to be a really good duel. Some really fun matches in that one. 141, Ryan Jack and Vince Cornella will be a great match. 49 is a huge one to circle. Coy Bisgins, Jackson Joy, and 65. Will Dunny has been great, so keep an eye on him. But the really, really big one is at 74, Maddie Singleton and Simon Ruiz. So should be a really good duel. They match up well with their strengths. So should be a really good one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
That one's on ACC Network. Rock and Sean will be down there for that one.
Nice. Yeah, Austin, bring it on home. What are we watching this week in the IV and the EIWA?
Yeah, I'll start with the IVs. Beginning on Thursday, Ryder at Penn. I'll be on that call. NBC Sports Philly. So regional TV moving up in the world here.
Let's go.
Friday, Princeton at Penn State. Few decent matchups in there. I'm looking at 149 with Rivera. Been pretty good lately. Taking on Van Ness. Can get interesting. Cornell, NC State on Friday, as Robbie mentioned. Sacred Heart and Brown on Saturday. EIWA starts off on Wednesday, actually. Rutgers visits Hofstra. Moving to Friday, Drexel is at Maryland. Big one on Friday and probably maybe across the country too. Army and Navy. Obviously a huge rivalry in every sport they do. Wrestling is kind of the same thing. They've been, I think Army won the past 3 in a row. Navy won like the 3 before that. So, it's going to be a really good duel this year. Saturday at Drexel at American. Lehigh at Arizona State, as Holmes mentioned. Sunday, Bucknell and Columbia should be good. Bucknell takes on Bloomsburg again that night. And then rounding it out with American and Clarion. Some decent duels there. So, yeah, decent slate. Last weekend of dual meets for EIWA and Ivy as well. And then it's postseason's here, boys. Can't believe it.
Yeah. Couple things that came to mind. Looking forward to Mark Anthony McGowan versus Luke Lillidahl.
Mm-hmm.
Something that could be good there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also with Princeton in mind, they did take a loss to Rutgers last week, but shout out to Rutgers winning the Jersey duel and keeping that Jersey trophy. Those duels have obviously been better in the past than what they were more recently, but still always pretty fired up duel between Rutgers and Princeton.
That was a fun one.
Yeah, like they've I can remember when Schnalte's in the lineup and you've got Handsome Tuesday doing his thing back in the day. They had a pretty incredible lineup, and there was a reason why when Flo posted a clip of something that I shot, Anthony shot him down when he's wrestling G Feller and just brings back all those memories of like a packed Jersey Mike's and how heated those duels got. And I mean, most of the really awesome things revolve around Anthony Ashnault taunting the opposite bench, throwing up the 10 when he beats Kolodzik, or firing off the guns when he beats G Feller. Like, now he's wearing Princeton orange. So certainly fun times.
Me too.
Those two teams. So yeah, shout out to Rutgers. I know it's something that we missed when we had our Big Ten, Big Ten or EIWA discussion. But this week's gonna be good. I mean, as we said, it's the final week. I can't believe that we are here at the postseason. We're 30 days, 29 days when everybody's watching this, from NCAAs. Going to be a lot more fireworks. I think you guys I know Austin is headed to Cleveland. I don't know, Robbie, Claunch, you guys headed to Cleveland?
I need to make a decision. I wouldn't figure that out. That'll happen soon.
I will not be in Cleveland. I did not enjoy my last trip to Cleveland for NCAAs. It wasn't anything I would want to do.
Cleveland. I don't know what you expect.
Yeah.
I will be there. I got my credential this week, so I'll be there.
Yeah. I gotta use. I still got all those credits at the Touch Tunes at the Tilted kilt. So if you guys need them, I don't know. I'll let you know if I'll be there.
Well, either way, make sure that you have fun no matter what. I'm sure you always will, Claunch, whether you're drinking on your couch or you're drinking with the Strangler like we did when we were in Kansas City.
That's right.
Those are some good times. But gentlemen, we have reached as I said, the end of the dual meet season. Next time we'll be doing a recap and talking about conferences that we have coming up. So make sure you guys pay attention to those. We'll have some talk next week about referees as we go into the conference season as well. So let's keep an eye on those refs, those stalling calls, those takedown calls. I know last week there was what was it, the Caliendo and Blaze match? There was a non-takedown call. There was another non-takedown call or at least something that was close in the Oklahoma State and what was it, the Ventresca non-takedown call, I guess, at 125. So we'll talk takedowns, we'll talk stall calls, and then we'll give some recaps, and then we'll talk about some conferences. As always, we appreciate you guys listening and watching the Quad Pod, and we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.